Here.
Mrs. Maroney?
Here.
Mrs. Ward? Here. Mrs. Madiker? Here. Mr. Errico?
Here.
Mr. Brescher? Here. Mr. DeStefano?
Yes, here.
Mr. Patel?
Here.
All present by Mrs. Pink.
Opening statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Edison Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board of Education administrative offices. Copies of the notices were sent to the Home News Tribune and the Star-Ledger on January 8th and 24th and August 28th and November 16th, 2018. The public may participate at regular meetings in accordance with the bylaws and the applicable state regulations. So today we're going to go to a closed session right away. It's going to probably take 15-20 minutes. We'll be coming back. Okay, so Dan?
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Edison as follows. 1, the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon herein specified subject matters. 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed as follows. Under personnel, we'll be discussing personnel appointments. 3, it is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter should be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. And 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Okay, can I have a motion? Mrs. Maroney, second. Okay, Mr. Errico?
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. DeStefano?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes.
Okay, can I have a motion to reconvene? Okay, Mr. Errico, do I have a second? Mr. DeStefano.
Mr. Patel?
Here.
This is okay. Mr. DeStefano?
Here.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Mrs. Ward, yes.
Yes, okay. Mr. Maroney?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All present by Mrs. Pink.
Okay, so I apologize, the 15-minute went a little bit longer. But, you know, we try to get everybody the opportunity to discuss certain issues. So, all right, so the next is presentation of the Wingman program. All right, we are ready to go?
Yeah, thank you. I'll just give a brief introduction. Patrick, our new visual coordinator extraordinaire, is doing a great job, has taped us doing some of the wingman training that has been ongoing. You've heard me speak about it. But he also had an opportunity to interview Ian Hockley, who is the founder of the program and has so generously provided trainers for us. And so without further ado, I'm going to have Patrick put on the video so you can meet Mr. Hockley.
Well, my name is Ian Hockley. I'm down here from Monroe, Connecticut. I'm with a foundation called Dylan's Wings of Change, and we're here at the Wingman Champion Workshop for schools, mostly in Edison, but we've got some districts from further afield. Highbridge and South Plainfield are here as well. Dylan's Wings of Change is the foundation we started in memory of my son Dylan. He was one of the first graders killed in the shooting at Sandy Hook in 2012. We started the foundation initially. There was a lot of money donated from around the country, and we wanted to put that to good work, helping children with special needs get access to all the things that other kids just take for granted. That was the start of the foundation, but we've moved on since then to Wingman, which is a social and emotional learning program for all children. You know, every child today has something where they could use a wingman, that person who's looking out for them, that's got their back. And so Wingman in their schools, is a program in their dance studio, their sports club, their after-school program, helps them access social and emotional learning, breaking down the barriers so they get to know each other a bit better and start to look out for each other. It's 4 years in total. That was where we started our first program up in Connecticut at an athletics club, which moved into a couple of local schools and started growing since then. So in those 4 years, we spread to 20 schools in Connecticut. Now we're rolling out here in New Jersey, and there'll be about 16 schools by the end of the fall when we finish the rollout. On top of that, we're in over 200 dance studios in 38 states, I think is the last count, plus Canada and Australia. And as I mentioned, we're working on an after-schools program. We have a summer camp program as well. A lot of things helped us keep going. Right after the shooting was our family and friends that just formed this protective wall around us and made sure that we were able to start our grieving and healing in a safe place because of the focus of the world that was on us. And then as we started to emerge from that and started to find a new direction in life, and really Dylan's Wings of Change and Wingman is an entirely new direction for my life, has been those friends, but now hundreds, even thousands of donors, supporters, helping raise the money for the program to grow. And then really what it is the kids, the students, the dancers, the athletes that are in this program that are taking it and making it their own. And after that, and I shared Dylan's story with them, it actually becomes easy. Because when they're your inspiration, you can't not get out of bed because you want to be there for them. Because they're the future. They are the future.
Yeah, thank you.
And again, I just want to reiterate, thank you, Mrs. Maroney, for leading this program. And I'm really glad that Edison is leading this in New Jersey. And anything that you need to the board will be supporting whatever it's needed to get this one implemented in our district. If there's other districts that they need some help, they want to come to our district, they're more than welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So move on. We have the approval of the minutes, October 10th and 15th, and the board secretary's report. Do I have a motion? Okay. Mrs. Patel, do I have a second? Or Mrs. Maroney?
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mrs. Stefano?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mrs. Manaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Maroney?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes, except October 10th. I wasn't there at the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
So now we're going to public comments, resolutions only. So public, if you have any comments on the resolution that's outlined here, please come to the podium, name, address, and you have 6 minutes. See none? Okay. So let's move on. So first, can I have a motion on the personnel resolution only? The personnel resolution. Do I have a motion? Okay, Mr. Brescher, Mr. Errico.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Stefano?
One question. Which
Personnel.
personnel only? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mrs. Manaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Maroney?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes.
Move on. We put everything together. The administration, we have the YMCA contract, the swimming team, the 3 settlements, settlements AJ, EL, and ETTA, the HIP affirmation, the field trips, and professional development approval, the pupil services out-of-district placement, professional services for the 2018-2019 school year, and the finance resolution. So everything together. Do I have a motion on that? Okay, Mr. Errico? Okay, Mrs. Maroney.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. DeStefano?
Yes on everything except the HIB affirmation. I will abstain because I was not in the closed session for the meeting with the parents.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker?
Yes on everything except E. Again, I was also not there in the closed session room, and so I will abstain on that.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
So carried.
All right. So next is the announcement from me. We have 2 meetings that's coming up. Come on. All right, one is the December 12th at our caucus meeting at our S Center, and the other one is December 17th on Monday, the public meeting. But we're also planning to have a board retreat, which we're going to use that opportunity to discuss the superintendent's merit goals, and we'll also be discussing the hiring of the permanent superintendent. So right now we're targeting December 1st or 2nd. Once we have the date confirmed, that will be advertised. All right. Move on, we have a committee report. So I can take care of that.
You would take care of it?
Yeah. Just give me a sec. Okay, so we actually had 2 meetings. The first meeting took place on October 18th at 7 p.m. at the municipal complex. In attendance, myself, Mr. Brescher, Mr. DeStefano, Dan Michaud, Mr. Sexton, and Rich Pepe. On the township side, we have Bob Dio, Lance Sandowski, and Melissa Perlstein, Maureen Ruane, our BA in township, and Police Chief Tom Bryan, and Captain Joe Shannon. The committee discussed school security regarding police officer coverage in the school, the pros and cons of having armed security personnel, the possible use of Class 3 SLEO SLU officers, and the need for active shooter drills. There was a consensus that the school district and the police department must agree on a unified plan of action. A follow-up meeting was scheduled on October 29th at 7 p.m. at the municipal complex. The meeting adjourned at 8:20 p.m. The second is a follow-up meeting. It took place on October 29th at 7 p.m. at the municipal complex. In attendance, myself, Mr. Brescher, Dan Michaud, Paul Sexton. On the council side, we have A.J. Patio, Bob Dio, and Lance Sandowski, Melissa Perlstein, and Maureen, Chief Bryan, Deputy Chief Ron Michkowski, and Captain Joe Shannon. The police department presented a comprehensive security plan of action for coverage of all the district schools. For obvious reasons, the plan cannot be shared with the public, so the meeting was adjourned at 8:10 p.m. Thank you. Now let's open for board member open discussions. Yes, Mr. Yep.
I would like to thank the approximately 4,800 people who came out and voted for me. I really appreciate you putting your faith in me. While it was not enough for me to win the election, I really appreciate your support. And I would also like to congratulate Elizabeth Conway, Yuna Chen, and Ralph Errico for being re-elected, and to the new members of the board, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Other board members? Yes, Mr. Errico.
Thank you for the update on the security of the schools. I know we discussed a couple items that were still missing. I'm hoping, and I don't know if we have any update from Mr. Saxton or Mr. Michaud, but I'm hoping we can get this up and running for January at the latest, if not sooner. But I do agree, I know we can't discuss the plan, but we did discuss it in closed session. I think it's a good plan to start. and hopefully we get this off and running and protecting our students, staff, as we promised. Thank you, Mr. Shi.
Yeah, we just need to finalize a couple of things on the contract. We're pretty much there. Any other board members? Okay, so I just have a couple things that's real quick. Last Friday, I was here to attend the Midsummer Night Dream by the JP Theater Company. Again, another great performance. The spring performance will be musical, and it's going to be Chicago. So I'm going to, announce ahead of time for the theater company. The other thing is that last week we had a big snowstorm, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank all the teachers, the staff, the principal, and the admin team for staying with our students. And also special thanks to all our bus drivers who made sure every student went home safely. That's a very important thing, for us, the safety of the children. I saw a lot of posts on the Facebook. Obviously we can do better. We're looking into it, but certain things that's, just a little bit, mind-boggling to me. On the same post, they will say, oh, my child arrived home 2 hours late, and saying it took me an hour and a half to drive from Metro Park to my home. So, yeah, we're traveling on the same road, and it's the same condition we're traveling. And the bus for the elementary school kids, they have to drop the high school kids first, then they turn around to the elementary school to pick them up. So when the traffic is bad, you drive a 54-passenger bus, it's not that easy to make a U-turn on a small road. So I hope the parents understand that, but I just want to commend all the staff and the teachers and our admin team for staying late with our kids. And actually, the proposal today was to pass a resolution to commend what they have done, but we do not have all the names of the staff who stayed. So we're going to pass a resolution at the next month's meeting to thank all the folks who helped our kids last week. Right. The third thing I want to say is about our JP Orchestra. So the JP Stevens Chamber Orchestra, a group of 20 students, participated in the 2018 Rutgers String Day on November 3rd. The event brought together the 5 most advanced high school chamber orchestras from the Tri-County area at Mason Grove School of Arts. The students competed in an adjudicated program and performed on the final concert to win the coveted first place. Highest congratulations to Dr. Verdi, our director, and Steve Ridge, the assistant director, to the JP Stevens Orchestra. Again, the Edison School District is not only excellent on academics, we're excellent on all the arts and music program. The Edison School District probably, if we are now the best in the country, we're probably the second best in the country, but we have a fantastic arts and music program in the whole country. So we should all be very proud of our students and our teachers and directors for helping these students to become not only academically scholars, but also musicians. Thank you. Okay, before we go into the public comment section, Thanksgiving is coming up. I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, a happy and safe Thanksgiving enjoy the holiday, right? So now we're open for public comments. Any items anyone wants to come up and speak? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Prashant Joshi. I'm here to talk about the preset 8 and 9, which is being conducted in the December first week. I have sent an email to everybody board member. I got a received email from Shivi and Jerry Yu regarding this thing. I have major 4 concerns about this thing. So this test will be using for grouping, and this was announced on October 29th, right? So it's just 1 month before the test. It was announced that it will be used for grouping. There was no previous communication to the parents about that this will be used for grouping. Before 1 month, it was announced that it will be used, but no communication that it will be used for grouping. Second thing, the criteria. Once the results are out, how that will be done? Because it's at 25% of the grouping criteria, but no selection criteria has been announced till date. I asked for it. I was told that it will be decided later. Now, how do you prepare for an exam or anything? And how do you prepare something like this if you're going to decide it later when it is used for 25% of your criteria? Third thing, this is, I guess, is replacement for iReady. So iReady was conducted thrice a year. So if kid missed one exam or he had some bad thing, he had other chances. This exam is conducted only once. So on that day, if kid has a bad day or anything happens, that's it. There is no criteria given if you miss it, if you fall sick, what is the alternative? No communication on that one. I don't know how do you come to such a critical aspect of this in such a manner. But last and most important thing is the portion in the SAT 8 and 9. So as just to winter, it's SAT 8/9, sorry, 8/9. So it's for 8th grader and 9th grader. Now if you go to the college board, and I have sent an email and I can go and see the details about it, it has advanced math portion and a lot of other portions which are not covered in the 8th grade. Not only that, you're conducting in December. So 8th grade person has not completed it. You're asking them to solve the problems which they have not taught yet in the school. So I don't know who came with this brilliant idea, right? And this, now you're putting in 8 and 9. Immediately when this was announced, I got 3 emails from 3 different classes which are conducted in Edison that we'll run a session and we'll charge this much. It's like a SAT test. People prefer for SAT. This is nothing but a pre-SAT, a step before pre-SAT. So you're forcing kids to do all these things right from 8th grade, and that is in such a short notice. Is this what you want for our kids? I don't know, because I got only a couple of answers. Jerry said he is not on the curriculum board, so he cannot answer that. Shivi said, yes, I'm on curriculum board. We accept it. That is not something we should change it. But no other board member has simple responded to my email. So that's why I'm here personally asking the question, is it fair for an 8th grade student to go through this?
Okay. So my understanding, there was a discussion, was it last week? Yeah, last week. This was one of the topics, so I don't know what's the end result of that. And, I can't answer the question because I'm not on the committee, and I was not part of this discussion. So
as a parent, what should I do?
We'll review with your supervisors and get back to them.
yeah, we'll review with our supervisors and get back to you. If that's, you want to say something?
You want to talk to Debbie? No? Okay.
Yeah, so we'll get back to you, and we'll take the questions. We'll get back to you.
All right. Any time limit on this thing? Because the exam is on the 4th of December, which is like...
This should be in the report that we'll have for our, this should be in the report that we'll have for our curriculum at our next meeting. Because we did talk about it, in depth. We were talking about getting into the classes. And it's, from what we're told, it's not just the testing. It's also the students' grades and how they're doing throughout. That it's just not, so if your child missed the one test, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to get into a class.
No, but it's a 25% of the criteria, and the notice which was received doesn't mention anything.
So I'll tell you a couple of things that we discussed, and some of the questions that you raised right now, I had also raised it in the curriculum committee meeting. just hearing from, we as board members are not administrators. We are just, we are the voice of the community. So whatever that we hear, we try and bring it to the administration. And so basically, this is the first year, and I guess we did discuss about shifting it to March, but the problem was that since we've already committed for December, if we move it to March, we lose our status with the College Board because, different schools have different statuses and you don't want to lose that. And also, since this is the first year, I'm not trying to defend it or anything like that, but, since this is the first year, there's probably going to be some flexibility in terms of the way kids will be looked at. I mean, you can't really say that officially on a paper, but I'm sure there will be some flexibility. Also, I had mentioned that this is not really for, so the kids who are, whichever level kids are at, they will continue to be at that level irrespective of the test score. This test will basically be used to move kids up.
Precisely, that's the point.
So
right?
if your kid is already in honors,
that's not the point, right?
If your
kid, sorry to interrupt you, but this is precisely the point. If you are going to use this test to move the kid up, and it's a 25% of that criteria.
So another question, another thing that I wanted to mention is that, so whenever we come up with I was told that the reason for not really putting out, the cutoff is because you don't want to really put the pressure on students. And also that when the criteria comes out, we're going to have like different staggered, so you're going to get 25 points if you score between this percentile, you're going to get 20 points if you score between...
That's an afterthought.
Yeah, so it's not like you get it, it's a yes or a no, it's not like that either you get a 25 or a 0, it's not like that. You will get a 25 if you score between these two levels, you'll get a 20 if you score between these two levels. Again, we as board members, we don't create this policy, it's the administration that does it, and we don't have control over that. We just are the voice of the community, and we've been assured that this year there will be flexibility because there was lack of notice and less notice was given. So it's not going to be very strict this year. And next year there will be, like you would have already had a year. So then next year we would have everything in place. But this year there would be some flexibility, and also it would be looked at in combination with how the child is performing in class. So if your child is an A+ kid, that child really doesn't have to worry about it, or even, so I'm not again trying to defend anything, I'm just giving you the information that I have been given. And so that's all I can say at this point.
Thank you. So I just want to add something. So that meeting just took place on last Thursday. So we didn't have time to get the full report to the full board yet. At our next meeting, there will be a committee report to the board, and we can also ask our chief academic officers to provide some detailed information. So if you can just stay tuned, wait for the whole thing together, and then.
But the test is on 4th of December, so your next meeting is after the test. Mm-hmm. So what's the use of it?
I mean,
the test is already.
Just
hold on, sorry. Yeah. The test is already conducted. 25% of the criteria is decided. But you board members approved this thing. So I'm here to ask the question, and you're saying wait for it. Is that why I right way to do it? Means I will wait for it, but I haven't so far sent an email. I have a lot of other parents. If you want, I can bring 10, 15 people over here if that's what is needed to put this thing. And by the way, I spoke with the administrator, and she said this is done. You can do whatever you want. Nothing is going to change. That was exactly the comment I was told.
But just hear me, that we will have a full report, and our chief academic officer will also provide some report. So that wait till the whole everything is together, then go from there. The test is going to be done. If it's already scheduled on December 4th, we cannot say do not have the test. So have the test, then we can still continue to work on this issue.
Okay, so next step is next meeting I come over here and wait for the result?
Yeah, please.
And also, I think most of the thing that will be there in the report, I've already said it right now. So it's not going to be any different than what I've really said right now.
So
And
I
I
heard
think-
from you and I heard from Jerry, and thank you very much. I appreciated you responded to me also in the email, so I really appreciated that one. But what about the rest of you guys? Have you seen the email? Have you responded? Do you have any thoughts? I'm putting you on the spot.
You know,
I know that because
they all received their emails, and you know, I'm giving you the answers that you know, we're going to have a report at the next board meeting, and our chief academic officer was also provided a report, and you know, that's what we're going to do for now.
Right. Can I just, you know what it is? There's only a few of us that sit on that committee. So the other board members know nothing about it until we actually review that in our meeting. And that's when the other board members that are on there, you know, where it'll come up and everybody then will be informed. But we, like Shivi said before, the concerns were brought up. And the biggest concern was that test, or one of these 4 tests, were going to be the end-all to decide where a child was going to be placed. And we were assured that that's not the case, that it takes the entire child. So it's going to take in all of his grades. So if the child's sick and misses 25% of the test and gets a 0, so he really ends up with a 75, and they look at his grades, they will move him up.
Well, the kid can make the test. We could probably do a makeup test. Yeah, just like any test. If the kid's sick, yeah.
I will wait for this. I will wait for the report then. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Madhulika Verma, 15 Cedar Edison. I was here last month. My question is mainly for the Transport Committee regarding the request for a bus stop. We had been in communication through the email. I know that Shivi has told it's on the agenda for the next meeting. And as far as I know, Mr. Besher's last email, we don't have a meeting yet since last month.
I'm not aware we have a meeting scheduled yet, but yeah, you can.
I believe Dan's going to schedule a meeting this week, right?
Probably right after Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving. Next week.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
And it's definitely on the agenda.
Okay, so I expect something, I guess, in a week or so.
When we have our next board meeting, there will be a committee report from the Transportation Committee to update as the whole board as to some of the issues that's you know, some of different board members have been raising.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes. You were behind the podium. I didn't see you. Sorry.
I spoke with Ms. Maroney about a week ago about
name and address, please.
Oh, Meher Bhatia, 45 Farmhaven Avenue. So I spoke with Ms. Maroney about a week ago about the need for compostable trays, and she told me that Woodbrook Elementary School is already starting to use biodegradable trays, which because it was like no extra charge for Chartwells, which is great news. But although this is a step in the right direction, I think the next step would be like the clarification of how and where we would dispose of such a large number of these trays, especially because this is where the biodegradable aspect comes into play, because these trays aren't sitting in landfills, but they're actually being composted in facilities and bettering our environment. And I also found out that 90% of our cafeteria waste can actually be compostable, because approximately 50% of that is food waste, and 9% is recyclables, and 30% is also liquids, which can just be poured down a drain. So in an effort to create a more sustainable cafeteria, we can easily set up systems where we can have students separate their waste and thus like create less of the waste itself that would eventually go into the landfill. So my question would probably be, what would the first steps of the board be to create a more sustainable cafeteria, and how long do you believe like the process would soon become feasible in a working part of our schools?
Okay, so yeah, well, just.
Thank you very much for your input. We have a meeting with Chartwell, our cafeteria provider, right after the holidays to address the issue.
All right.
Thank you.
Meher, I want to thank you for being a student who's concerned not only about the environment, but when we had our conversation, you were concerned about children eating things that are not good for them, carcinogens that are released from the styrofoam platters that we're currently using. And it's young people like you who are going to change the world. Thank you for coming tonight, and we will definitely keep you posted.
All right.
And you keep us posted on what else we need to do.
All right. Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Carol Badowski, 39 Jonathan Drive. Wasn't she amazing?
Yes.
That we have students like that?
Yes.
I just have a request for our Board of Ed president and attorney and the board as a whole, that please do not ask our students who are minors to give their full name and their address publicly. I feel that's a safety issue, and we're also concerned about safety. They could be asked to write it down for the attorney or for the board president. And, you know I've already brought that issue up in terms of all of us, but Mrs. Conway and I have been giving our names and addresses out for 25 or 30 years, so if you haven't learned it by now, you never will. But in the case of a student who truly is trying to make it a better place, I don't want us to do anything that might endanger them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mrs.
we can-
Badowski, we can just have them state the
Yeah,
school
we'll-
they go
we'll-
to.
We'll change it, yeah. Thank you for, yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes. No, it's not a student.
Joseph Johnson, 407 Durham Avenue. Well, first and foremost, I just want to commemorate, or condemn, I would rather say, our Edison High football team. They made it to the second round of the New Jersey State playoffs, and that's the first win since 2000, and I think that's just a great accomplishment. Well, the next thing, I brought with me a few curriculum/courses offered at other high schools in regards to the race and ethnicity course that we previously mentioned or discussed. On September 24th, 2018, at 6:00 p.m., during the Edison Board of Education Combined Caucus and Public Meeting held at the Education Center located in Edison, New Jersey, a proposed race and ethnicity course was suggested to be implemented into the Edison Board of Education Social Studies curriculum. Furthermore, the course will be designed to introduce the sociological study of race and ethnicity in the United States and examine the interrelated social systems of power and how they confer a range of material advantages to some and not to others. As a result, the course will bring about cultural awareness as well as create an inclusive and comprehensive high school environment. The following are courses/curriculums offered at similar institutions of higher learning that can assist the Edison Board of Education in the development of the race and ethnicity course. First, we have one from Union, Township of Union Public Schools. Course description. The Cultural Studies course was designed to explore 4 topics, including African American Studies, Women's History, the experience of Latinas in America, as well as the Asian experience, focusing on the Chinese and Japanese experiences. The course will examine the barriers they face to secure full citizenship. The students will examine institutional racism from the inception of America to the present and evaluate the changes that have occurred and the work that must still be done in using current events. I apologize. The next is from Piscataway High School. This one is specifically the African American experience, and this is offered to full year 11th to 12th graders, and it's 5 credits. The course objectives of the African American experience are to introduce students to the social, political, and economic development of African American culture. From a historical standpoint, the course investigates and researches the aspects of history in which African Americans, as either a culture or as individuals, have made significant contributions to African American society, as well as American society. In addition, the course will study, discuss, and debate the current issues taking place in American society today and ways to come to a better understanding or resolution of those issues. The next is from TNEC. This one also is offered to 9th through 12th graders. It's a 5-credit course, and it's called African/African American History. Course description: African/African American History provides students with a basic understanding of the geography, history, and cultures of Africa, as well as an overview of the contributions and roles of African Americans in United States history. Students will, number 1, explore the great kingdoms and empires of ancient Africa, the nations of modern Africa, traditional cultures, colonialism, and nationalism as they pertain to African history. Number 2, assess the African American experience by studying slavery, the Civil Rights Movement, and the Black Revolution. Students who elect the honors option must be self-motivated to conduct independent research projects and prepare the required organized note-taking, critical thinking, and extensive reading and writing. And lastly, this is from Camden County. This is updated December 2017. Unit 1, the African American History Scope and Sequence. Unit 2, African American Quarter 2, Declaration of Rights of Men, Abolition, and Banneker. And lastly, Unit 3, African American Unit 3 Plan. So I have copies of 3 of these, as well as the 4 copies of the Township of Union, Piscataway, Teaneck, and Camden. And you can find these right on their website. And I just wanted to assist the Board of Education in developing this program. And if there's anything else that needs to get done from my end, I would gladly appreciate the help. And the 3 copies are for the superintendent, Mr. Shi, as well as Mrs. Gulick in the back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Joe, that was fascinating. Joey had sent these to me. I've seen some of them. I want to sign up for every one of them, you know, and I think it's a great idea to bring the history of parts of the world that have not been studied traditionally in American schools to American students. It gives us a much broader understanding of the world, and thank you very much for all that you've been doing in this area.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments? Yes.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle. I'd like to commend Joseph as an alumnus of the Edison school system. This is what I cherish, and that's why I continue to be the chairperson of the scholarship committee, because I meet so many young people, and I'm just so thrilled to call him my friend. The reason I'm questioning right now is I like to look at the personnel report and do some checks and balances. So if I see one teacher is leaving, I notice that the other section, another teacher is replacing that teacher, whether they're out on a leave of absence or a retirement. But I did notice that there was a special ed teacher that is retiring, and I was wondering if the process is starting to replace that person. And the second one is a speech teacher. I saw no replacement for the speech teacher either. And at this point, when you have someone going out on a leave, you might just have someone else covering for that person. But the one person that I noticed is the teacher of the deaf. Do we have more than one teacher for the deaf? Because when I was teaching, there was only one. Do we have more than one? Because if she's out on leave of absence, who will be taking their place? And I worked with her for a couple of years with my students, and without her around, it would really be a problem. So I'm hoping that something could be done about that. In that case, since she's only a leave of absence, do you go out to agencies to fill any slots for temporary coverage? Sure. And if we're lacking any teachers, do you go out to agencies to fulfill, you know, if we're overburdened with students for speech?
search high and low for them.
Because I know from past experience, the speech teachers are really drawn very thin as far as getting to the children enough according to their IEPs. So I can't stress enough that they be given enough coverage for the students and the students get their entitlement as far as speech is concerned. And when I noticed these two, it didn't work out evenly. I just wanted to know, is there a problem getting speech teachers, or is it a better thing to go to an agency?
Can answer that now.
You can't?
No, I can't.
So I'll come back in December, and you'll have that answer?
Any other public comments? See none? Can I have a motion for adjournment of the meeting? Mr. Erico, second. Okay, Mr. Patel? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned.